emotions did you feel watching that preseason game against the Falcons? Sitting here going through all of training camp so far, I watched the games in the preseason through the lens of the three things. And those three things are Kenny Pickett had to push the ball further downfield so that we had more explosives. Second, we need to have the run-of-the-mill plays, the everyday plays, the 1st and 10s, the 2nd and 10s, be in our favor more often, both on offense and defense. And then the third thing was the defense needs to get back to leading the league in sacks. So those are the three things that I watch every preseason game with this year in the hope of finding. And one of the big things that going through this game I was worried about early was that second category. Was the run-of-the-mill plays going to be in our favor? Because while through the first two preseason games, Kenny Pickett scored a touchdown on both of his drives, the running game was not something that was consistent at all. Warren had that one huge 60-yard run that went to the house, which was fantastic, but there was nothing else after that. And when we start this game off with two just flat out nothing plays, looked like old school Canada, and that the pressure meter was starting to turn on up, I was worried. It was sinking. Like I said, we've had episodes where I've talked about how I'm excited that I feel like the depression is over, but an end round that failed and another play that just doesn't do anything, I was right back to cloud nine worry meter, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. And then third down happens, and Kenny Pickett is an Iceman. And when I got so much joy watching this ball in the air going to Johnson. Now, Kenny is doing everything he possibly can to show you that he has made this sophomore jump. This ball placement is hitting Johnson in stride and perfectly where he needs to be. Johnson did not need to slow down at all. And I do need to say this is a better downfield pass than Ben ever gave you, because the receiver did not have to slow at all and he bailed it in stride. So immediately I am back to full excitement and everything is going to be awesome because Kenny can bail us out of any situation. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. We get into a little bit further in the drive. What do we get to see? Two beautiful runs. And when we look at this, this is what the Steelers really needed to get to. But there's question marks with it. McDaniels isn't playing at right guard, and who's there? Green. What's up with that? Like, Green is one of these players we're going to devote an entire episode to, but sufficient to say he is wildly inconsistent. But we still see runs going up the middle, granted, not to Green's side, but going up the middle behind Solomon. And if that signing in and of itself just gives us that running game to one hole that no matter what we want, we can go there, will have been worth it. So when we look at these two running games, I am back to, this is awesome. And as you can tell, I'm going through a little bit of a roller coaster here through watching this third preseason game against the Falcons. And as we dive in further, we get to another big play. And George Pickens, I don't think anyone can possibly say enough good about this guy. With all the stuff that he's been showing us in camp, this play is right in line with what we've been seeing throughout all the camp footage and everything else. George Pickens is bringing in amazing passes and is a reason for pure and utter joy. There's just no other way around that. And when we dive into how we finish this drive, it's everything that's intelligent, situational football demands. Maybe George caught the ball, maybe he didn't. Either way, huge play, run down the field, put the defense out of breath from having to sprint down the field, and then just put it down their throats. And that's how you finish a drive, and that was exceptional. I absolutely love the way that the Steelers attacked that and won that first drive. And you're just on cloud nine. We go through our boxes again. Did we win explosive plays? So sure did. George and Johnson showed that. Did our run-of-the-mill plays improve? Yes, they did. We were getting better at running the ball consistently. We had the big run from Warren and the big run from Najee showing he can do it in the middle, plus the touchdown obviously coming on the ground. Now let's see if this defense can keep their run-of-the-mill plays going And then also, can they get some sacks going? So I was super optimistic after that TV timeout. We come in here and go, boom. First play, Roberts just blowing it up in the backfield. Now, I get that Charlie Batch is trying to be nice to his boy Vince Williams and saying, hey, that was Vince Williams like. Vince Williams was never that explosive, period. Vince Williams was a good football player, not trying to diminish him. He's never going to be what you would call an athletic stud. He was a nice, solid replacement next to someone. He was the foot next to Ferrier. He was not the big explosion guy. Roberts could be. Obviously, a lot to be shown yet throughout the season, but that's a possibility, and that is something to keep your eye on and look forward moving forward with Roberts. Granted, it's Atlanta's number twos, but don't try to just one-on-one block TJ Watt and then, here's a running back who's kind of in the way. TJ Watt is the best player in football, and to not do the basically, I thought it was disrespectful. TJ is almost in a sense where he's like, you did it wrong, but I'll gently tackle you. You know, if this was Lamar Jackson, he would have been exploded and just destroyed. But I think that shows a lot. It's very clear, having watched the first teamers throughout all of training camp, but especially in this game, is that the way that Mike Tomlin has done his training camps are explicitly and demonstrably better than the rest of the NFL, without a doubt. And then after TJ gets that sack, obviously it's punt time. Another cool fun fact about the defense overall, 0 rushing yards allowed the entire first half. This is one of the things that in my preview for the Falcon games I was really anxious about. Will we be able to take the test of stopping the run on a short week's rest? Because both of our opponents for the short weeks this year are heavy running teams, being Tennessee and the Patriots. And 0 rushing yards in the first half, that's a good answer. So really excited for how that turned out. So much optimism with the defense. And then what happens? Here's the punt. Austin is showing great things as a kick returner that really we haven't seen since Antonio Brown has been back there. A consistency to get positive yardage as a burst. Not gonna, I dropped it like Oshevsky again. That's not happening anymore. Now we're getting production and positivity out of the punt returns. This is no longer let's beat the lines in the bathroom or get a shorter line for a beer. This actually could be a play that matters. That's what Calvin Austin brings to this roster, and why Oshevsky shouldn't even be there, so no one ever gets tempted to put in a bad decision. But after the amazing return, what do we see? I really love the way that they started to push the ball there on the ground. And as I said, we're going to dive into its own episode with Green a little bit later in this block before week 1. But in this first play to Najee, he gets manhandled, blown back. But in the second run here to Warren, he's the one who makes the play to make it happen. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to dive into Green to give him his own special moment. But the offense was showing we can run the ball again. We can win the game-to-game plays. And that is where true dominance lies. See, the Steelers for so many years were just trying to explicitly rely upon those first and second 3 and 4 yard runs. And yes, there was a period that worked, but it only works when you can hit something over the top. And now that the Steelers have found the balance with that in this offense, this team has the potential to be absolutely amazing and elite. My experience of going through this game has left me with a joy that I'm questioning about whether or not I'm allowed to have. Because for a decade and a half, I've seen this team work really hard, have a great defense, and the offense just not deliver. And I have to keep my realism hat on, unfortunately. That wasn't a starting level defense, and even if it was, Atlanta's defense isn't good. Tampa's defense might be the worst defense in the NFL, which gives me a lot of stock in that Buffalo game, which, by the way, we also manhandled. So Steelers, I think I'm no longer reserved optimism. I think I'm in full-fledged, we're going to win this thing. And as I'm going through that game, all I can think about is there's a very, very good chance the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the AFC North and get this bye week. So Steelers fans, let me know if you guys like the new format that I did in today's episode. I want to talk to you all and have more comments and more interaction with you. So let me know what your experience was watching this Falcons game, what your feelings are moving forward throughout the season, and where you're feeling about the Steelers overall in general. And as always, here we go, Steelers, here we go.